Good morning, all of you. So we'll continue with the classes related to application of motional EMF. And today at the end, I'll introduce to rotational EMF. So what we're discussing only translating motion of the rod. Due to that, what is the EMF induced? If a rod rotates in a magnetic field, then what is the EMF induced? That also we'll discuss in the end of this today's class. You can take the question, so read it. There are four long rods are there, each of mass m. They are moved with a constant velocity v in the direction as shown. An uniform magnetic field strength B exists in a plane. Let lambda be the resistance per unit length of each rod. Find induced current in circuit at any time t and power generated by an external agent. There's nothing called like some loop here, no. So you are going to come across problems where there won't be a loop. Means not like specific like rectangular, circular we have seen. So as the rods are moved with a velocity v, what will happen to area enclosed by the loop? So where is the loop here? No, this will be the loop here. So let me give point A, B, C, and D. So the intersection of the rods here, this will make a loop. Present, what is the area of cross section? It is L square is given. Now after some time t, so this rod will be here. This rod will be here. So what do you expect? Area of cross section loop must increase. So we should take help of the diagram now. So after some time, okay, read question. Meanwhile, I'll adjust the diagram. After some time, so if you want, only I can show it or why to mess up. This is what happening, no? Take like this here. Look at the area, it got increased. So earlier, the points AB was here. So no. Where was A? A was here. And B was somewhere here. Sorry, here A was here, B was here, C was here, and D is here. So now what happened? The A got shifted. Now A is here, B is here. Just do make observation because some questions where they'll be very tricky. Where if you draw a diagram, little bit easier, it can be like this. So the initial positions. This were the positions of the rod. I'm putting with a dotted one. Now the rods are moved with a constant velocity. So here shall we say this length, let it be equal to x. Let this be x. What is the new area of the loop? So earlier it was L, no? Earlier it was L. So now, shall we say it is, this was the L. Now what is the area of the loop will be known. So what is the side length? L plus 2x, and what is x? X should be equal to Vt, because the rods are moved with a constant velocity. X equal to Vt. So the new area at any time will be L plus 2x whole square. So this will be L plus 2Vt whole square. So what is the flux linking the loop? B into A. There's a uniform magnetic field is there. So we got the flux. Now differentiate this. d phi by dt. 2B L plus 2Vt by 2V. So 4B V L plus 2Vt. Okay, this is the expression for the EMF induced. Then what is the expression for current? I is equal to E by R. R is the total, lambda is the resistance per unit length. This one. So 4BV L plus 2VT will write. Lambda into perimeter 4 times, okay, the lambda into 4 times of, what is the perimeter of this will be? L plus 2VT is the side length, and 4 times of that. So again, if you differentiate, again it will become BV by lambda. A constant current I in fact flows. Already previous class I discussed the similar idea. So from where this L plus 2VT has come? At t equal to 0, the rods were here. After some time t, it is here. At time t, what is the side length of the loop? L plus 2x. Write it. So I got this one. So now what is asking, find the induced current in circuit at any time t. After that, power generated by external agent. Power generated by external. We should supply power for all 4 rods. No? So we'll calculate power generated on any one rod, then this one. So what is the power you should write the equation. So what is the force you should apply? External force on any one rod. Let me calculate. Anybody direction of induced current? B bar into the plane. Negative flux increase, d phi by dt, negative. EMF induced positive. So the current should flow anti-clockwise. Then how BL force? BL force I should apply. BL force will be acting in this direction. FB. External force must be applied in this direction. So what is the F external is equal to? F external should be equal to BI L plus 2x. What is I? BV by lambda. L plus this is 2VT. Then what is the power? Power generated by external agent should be equal to 4 times of, because 4 rods it should pull up, no? 4 times of F external into V. F external is this particular thing. So you should apply a time varying force, and the power output continuously should vary with the time. And what all that power, where do it will go? Power dissipated in the circuit, because the velocity of the rods are constant. Then what happened to that power generated by external agent that we utilize to generate heat, or the whole circuit will convert that mechanical power into electrical power. The rest, again, the rods will convert that electrical power into the heat, the thermal power. Also this what you can write, P external, also what you can write, power dissipated in the circuit. Power dissipated in circuit.
Sir, can you tell why power external is 4 into?
For the 4 rods I should pull, no, not only one rod. On 4 rods I should apply force, no. All 4 rods I should pull, no? So that's why the 4 times. Okay, fine.
Sir, how did you get direction of current, sir?
Negative flux, flux negative, negative flux increase the d phi by negative, EMF positive. EMF positive means induced current, positive means anti-clockwise.
Why is negative flux increasing, sir, here?
Area increasing, no. You see, look at equation with the time t as with the t will increase, no.
Yes, sir.
So flux is increasing. Or
Okay.
stick on to the basics. Stick on to the basics. Nothing big.
Well, you need to take negative of d phi by dt, no, sir, for finding E.
I am just getting only magnitude and the direction I'll predict by Lenz law, because the mathematics again will here and there we may miss sign. We'll try to interpret some other way. That's why only magnitude I'll calculate. I'll indicate the direction in the circuit. That's what I'm following it here. Is it okay? So that the best way, because some numerical solvent where we'll calculate magnitude, then Lenz law the direction, then I'll continue into the problem. Or else the Lenz law you should introduce here only. You should take care the Lenz law here only. So that will be better. Make magnitude Faraday's law. Let the direction be Lenz law. You get that direction separately and let only concentrate magnitude. It will be much easier for you. Okay, there's a force acting on each. Okay, so this is so some different shaped structures will be coming for you. You have to be very careful. Different shaped structures will come. Yesterday we have seen triangle here, broad square. Any other shape structures will come. Power dissipated in circuit should be equal to how much it is? I square into again the resistance, total resistance of the circuit, lambda into 4 L plus 2 VT. What is I? You know I. Check it, you'll get the same answer. So in fact, P external equal to PR. Okay, let's take another one. Yeah, that is very simple and very important. There's a square frame. Read the question. Meanwhile, I'll construct the diagram. There's a small correction in there. Now read the question. So this is 2A. It is some misprint occurred. I will rotate through, I will rotate it by 180 degrees. So where the loop will come to this position. There's a long wire. So this distance is what? It was given 2A. So this is P, Q, R, S. I'm going to rotate it by 180 degrees. Then the loop will come to this position. or you can say it is flipped, anything. So this will become Q and this will become R. Let it be A. So now this distance is what? 2A. So the side length is A. So this distance definitely should be A. He's asking what charge has flown through the loop. Meanwhile, so this was the square loop. How to calculate the amount of charge he is asking us to calculate. So I'll do one thing. So when I rotate this loop, this one. So flux linking the loop, will it be a constant or variable? It will be variable, no? So now a flux is linking here. Now as I rotate, what will happen to flux linking the loop? Decreases or it varies. Then again finally this is a position. So there's the initial position, there's the initial position of loop, and there's the final position of the loop. So what total charge has flown through the square loop? That's what it's asking. So now I'll do one thing. E equal to d phi by dt. I is equal to E by R, which is d phi by dt. What is I? I is the total charge flown. So delta Q by, or say dq by dt. Instead this, let me write it delta phi. So finally, what is delta Q is equal to? Delta Q equal to change in flux by the resistance of the loop. This is what delta Q is what? Charge flown through the loop. You can solve this mathematically. This will be a better idea. No, this is delta phi. Change in flux. So calculate flux in this situation. How much of flux here initial? What is the flux here? The final. How to calculate flux? I think we had a small discussion earlier. So let me take a strip and let it be at a distance x, and let this be dx. Now what is the flux linking that particular strip? D phi is equal to B into A dx. What is B equal to? Mu naught I 2 pi x A into dx. This should be equal to mu naught I A 2 pi dx by x. So let me call this as the initial flux. So what should be the limit now? 2a to 3a. In initial position, the flux linking the loop phi I should be calculated from where? From 2a to 3a. 2a to 3a, that one. So this should be equal to how much? Initial flux mu naught I 2 pi log of 3 by 2. Similarly, can we calculate flux, final flux? Now what should be the limit? Mu naught I A 2 pi. The limit should be A to 2A. So the change in flux is what? Should be the required charge by the resistance. Will be the charge flown through the loop. So what is delta Q is equal to? Delta Q is equal to the difference in flux. Which flux will be more? The initial flux will be more. Final flux, no? Take the difference of this. So this will be mu naught IA by 2 pi log 2 minus log of 3 by 2. Mu naught IA 2 pi log of 4 by 3 by resistance R. This is some like this, the charge flown through the loop and the change in flux, they are related. Very important, can be asked in advance. not only main, sometimes can be asked in advance. You can also do this by what is the other alternative method? At any arbitrary point, at arbitrary location, calculate the flux linking the loop. Not only this, some arbitrary position as it is rotating, where the plane of the loop makes some angle with XY plane. Then there you calculate the flux linking it. Then d phi by dt, then current flowing it. Then you'll get an expression for current at any time. Then what charge has flown in that interval of time. So there'll be very lengthy method. So I think this will be much easier for you. Even if I rotate the loop by 90 degrees also, this is applicable. The calculation of flux all matters here. So, but this is a generalized formula. Please do remember, very useful for you. Okay, now we'll bring the idea of the friction now. Yeah, read the question. Read the question now. Mu be the quotient of friction. So I just wanted to bring that idea of the friction here. Mu be the quotient of friction between the rod PQ and vertical rails. Read the question, try to get the diagram. Look at the magnetic field. One component is along negative z axis, the other component is along negative y axis. I'll get into the problem. So let this be.
Sir, it is minus by k cap or j cap, sir, in question.
Minus by, another is j cap. Some misprint occurred. I'll change it. This one you mean to say, this should be j cap. By j cap. Bz k cap. Yeah. Now this is a resistor R. Let L be the length of the rod and M is the mass of the rod, that also given, and also the gravity is also given for us. There's a friction between the rail and the rod. So it is like this. So here at this particular point, it will offer a friction. Let's begin with our problem. The Z component will produce magnetic field. Here I wrote XY coordinate. So plus Z axis will be somewhere in this direction. So therefore BZ will be into the plane. We have a practice of showing like this, no? So let's show BZ. What about BY? BY is Y component of field is in this direction. Now the rod is released. The weight mg will act. So due to weight mg, it will start sliding down. Then as it starts sliding down, flux linking the loop varies, and negative flux increases d5 by dt, negative EMF induced positive. So what direction the induced current should flow? The induced current should flow in anti-clockwise. Initially, this what happens at t equals 0, the rod is released from rest, and because of weight, it starts sliding down. As it starts sliding down, then the flux linking the loop varies. Then the induced current will flow anti-clockwise. Now, current carrying loop is there in a magnetic field. Let's see what are the forces that are acting. What are the forces that are acting? Now, due to BZ component, B bar I, so there should be a force, BL force. So this is like BZ I L. L is the length of the PQ equal to L, you take it. This is like a BL force, no, which will oppose that one. Next again, let's do BYI. How do it will act? B bar and current, no. So that particular BYIL will be pressing the rod against the rails. Look at the G in the problem. You have to be very careful. That the G is indicated vertically down. So therefore, that BYIL will press the rod against the rails. And because of that, what happens? There'll be friction. So I think I'll give the only I'll show this. This will be force will be acting on the rod. How much it is? BZ. So BY IL, and it will be pressing the rod, and because of there'll be normal contact, and F equal to mu n. I think I can help you with small diagram. Rest are supposed to imagine. Red color. I'll try to give the diagram. Okay, at P or Q, let me take anywhere at P or Q. So there's the rod, no? How BYL, it will be like this. BYIL will be like this. So the normal contact will be like this. The weight mg will be like this. So I next BZIL will be like this. How the friction should act? Friction should act upward, no? And what is F? F should be equal to first, what is N? Actually, the friction will act at both P and Q. I'm showing it only one point. Please do understand. So what is BYIL minus N equal to 0? Now this is what is the direction. Shall we put NZ? Normal reaction along the axis it is. At P or Q. At both the points it will act. I'm just showing the resultant. So then what is F? F should be equal to mu NZ. So frictional force equal to mu By I into L. Let's write the equation now. It will accelerate mg minus bz il minus f equal to me. What is that from Faraday's law? What is I? I equal to E by R, and this should be equal to BLV by R. Which B you should write? BY or BZ?
BZ.
BZ it should be, not BY. Or don't take resultant again. The rate of change of flux is due to Z component of the magnetic field. The resultant is what I'm showing. I can't draw so many diagrams. The resultant on the rod I'm showing, that's why I'm just so this better let me say rod. Is it okay? Fine. Instead of 2F, no, better you show that. It's only resultant. I'm just saying that red color is rod. Okay, now substitute all the things and go for calculation. BZ, this will be Bz Lv Lr minus mu By this is mu By IL equal to Me. Let me substitute all the quantities here now. Bz, what is I? Bz Lv by R, this is L. Mu By Bz square L square Vr mu Bz By L square R. I think now you know integration. Apply that integration and try to solve. V you take common. And I think I'll leave the mathematics to students. Please do work out. Huh? So B square Bz square L square R plus mu Bz By L square R V equal to M dV by dt. Adjust all the things, you'll get expression again for V as a function of time, and that's what it's asking. Find the speed of the rod at time t.
Sir, frictional force will act at 2 points, no sir. 2F will not come, sir.
Oh my dear, resultant force. Resultant force. BYL is what it will press it, no? It will press the rod against the rails at 2 points. That resultant is what I'm showing it.
Okay, sir.
Fine. So please go back to mechanics. You learned so many things. Please do apply, not learning and forgetting. Take next one. So if they don't mention anything in gravity, what does it mean? The weight will act perpendicular to plane of paper. You have to be very careful. Some students, I don't know what will happen for you in exam. Sir, the G is not given. Why you should give G now? Here, look at this. So it's like you are working on a table now. How mg will act perpendicular to plane of the paper. Then you know to mention the G. If the if the loop lies in vertical plane, G will come into picture. If the loop lies in horizontal plane, the effect of it will not come into picture. You have to be very careful about the orientation of this circuit. Vertical rails, then effect of weight will come. Horizontal rails, effect of weight will not come. Of course, any torques, something they are asking, then you have to take effect of weight also. There's a uniform manifold is that long rails are there, and the ring is moved with a constant speed V0. Find the external force acting on the ring. Now go back to the motional EMF. We said no effective EMF, effective length. The idea of effective length, so the same thing here now. So break up this ring into two parts. Break up this ring into two parts. Let me take this ring. I'm going to move this ring here. So the ring here, it will have call 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm moving with a constant speed V0. Let the radius of the ring be A. B bar is everywhere into the plane, and it's a uniform. What's the external force? I should apply it. So shall we say 1, 2, 3 is one ring, one rod, and 1, 4, 3 is also one rod. And moving rod, what you do? You can replace with a cell. So the equivalent circuit. Just stick on to the basics. Or don't bother anything big. because even the final exam, the questions that are coming will be on just simple applications. Now I'm going to replace this ring by equivalent cell, because uh, we are more comfortable with replacing the moving rod with a cell. How to replace this with a cell? 1, 2, 3 will become one cell, and it's having resistance called R, this EMF. Similarly, so what is this E123? What is this E143? And both are moving with a constant velocity V. Now, will there be any current I? Yes, a current I will flow like this. Let this be I. Then the resultant current here will be 2I. Or if you want to make it I by 2, you can do that one. So a BIL force will act here. Actually, I show at the midpoint. I don't have enough space, so I'm showing somewhere BIL. Where the BIL force should act at center of this one. Okay, this is about the BIL. Now, some external force should be applied, no? Otherwise, the constant speed cannot be maintained. That external force is what? On the rod like this. So what should be the external force? 2 BIL. So what should be the external force? How much I should apply? 2 BIL. Straight away, let's get into the problem. F external equal to 2 BIL. What about I? E123 by R or E143 by R. Well, same current will flow in both the parts of the ring. Yes, the same current will flow. How to get the magnitude of E12? Effective length BV2A. What is the effective length from 1 to 3? So where shall I write pi A or 2A? Look at this part. Should be pi A or 2A. It should be 2A, no? The effective length, not pi A. Substituting that, we'll get the external force that should be applied. So different shaped now. Frames, rod, anything will come into picture. You must, and see, resistance, don't go for what is R? I think we have to define R also. What is R? Resistance per unit length, no? Lambda into pi A only. What do you suggest? Or shall I go for 2A? For the resistance, you should not go for effective length, no? So therefore, now the required answer will be F external equal to 2 times B. What is I? I will be BV by 2A. And this length also here. Here also, I wrote L, no? It should be 2A, that one. Huh? What is value of I? BV by 2A. Lambda is lambda by pi A into this 2A. This is what I. What about power? That external force into the speed of the rod will be the power generated by extrusion. Where it will go? Taken by the ring. So what is here ring? It is acting like a source of EMF, and also it is dissipating, no? So that resistance of the ring whatever will become internal resistance of a source. So therefore in the motional EMF, the moving rod or the moving structure, if it is having any resistance, that will become internal EMF, internal resistance of that particular EMF or that particular cell. So what should be suggestible? What type of ring I should move here? Ring with high resistance or ring with low resistance? To trouble you, questions will be of this kind. See, what is the main purpose of this? I want source of EMF, and the ring is now source of EMF. This ring is a source of EMF, and you go for current density. When you have a cell, so what do you expect internal resistance? Should be high or low? Should be as low as possible, no? So practically, what should be the resistance of the ring preferred? As low as possible. They may test it with very generalized application like this. So any arbitrary shape, so some trapezium frame, trapezoidal frame, triangular frame can be moved here. So you should get ready for different types of structures here. So here I'll be moving like this. So I'll move a triangular frame. Then so in books we have routine problems where we have very routine problems. Let it be there, no problem. So I can move any structure here, no? Of course, the resistance of this very difficult to find out. Here we can find out the resistance. If I give total resistance R, I think it's okay, well and good. Here we can find out. Here very difficult. So let me make R is the total resistance. So this is a B bar. So then what is the external force I should apply to move this particular loops? There's a generalized thinking what you should generate. So try to think problems on like this. Okay, I'll take the next condition. So there's a rod PQ of mass m and length L is moved with constant speed V0 on a long rails. A long current carrying wire lies in the plane of rails. Find the external force applied on the rod PQ. These are fixed. The rails are also fixed here. Now look at now where we are moving the rod in a field of a long wire. No? Till now what happened? We confined ourselves to the uniform magnetic field. So here we are going to jump into rotational. So this motional EMF where the B will be variable. The magnetic field will be non-uniform. And one best example is the field produced by long wire is a non-uniform magnetic field. How to write this set of equation? So what is the field due to long wire? Mu naught I by 2 pi x, mu naught I by 2 pi y. So let's take there's a long wire. This is a rod PQ. And this is a long wire. Infinity, infinity, let this be A, let this be L. So these are the things given, and it is moved with a constant speed V0. So as it is moved with a constant speed V0, so can we assume it made up of a cell? Because this is what we used to do approximation, a moving rod similar to like a cell. And what is a B bar? How B bar will be out of the plane? Look at here. The direction of B bar is going to change and will not be uniform. Will not be uniform. Will be non-uniform. At different points will be different. So B bar everywhere will be out of the plane. What should be the direction of induced current? The rod is moved towards right with a constant speed V0. Okay, let's come for flux positive. From Faraday's law, so from conventions, positive flux increases d phi by dt, positive. EMF induced, negative. Negative means in what direction the current should flow in clockwise. Okay, then apply the B bar current. So in what direction the BIL force will act on this? It will be like this, but B is not constant. B is different at different points. Let's see later on. So therefore I must apply external force in this direction. And how much it should be? It should be equal to BIL. But what is the problem here? The B is not constant. So how to get this one? And how to calculate EMF? At different points on the rod PQ, the EMF is different. So what is the method we use is? What the method we use is? So let me take a small elemental length, elemental strip here. Let me show in this diagram. So let it be at a distance. So length of this element be dx. What is the EMF induced in this small element? Let it be d. So what is dE is equal to? So dE is equal to BV into dx. What is B? Due to long wire, mu naught I 2 pi x. I is a current in long wire. Say there's a long wire. Again, don't mess up things. Small I, capital I are different. Capital small I is induced current. Capital I is the current flowing in the long wire. So after getting this, so I know D. What is the total EMF induced in the rod PQ? So it should be, the limit should be from A to A plus L. The EMF induced mu naught I 2 pi x 2 pi dx by x. So this should be A to A plus L. So mu naught IV 2 pi log of A plus L by A. So this is a total EMF induced. Is it okay now? So when in a non-uniform magnetic field, what you should do? As in small element, EMF induced in that small elemental length dE, then integrating will get the total EMF induced. Then what is I is equal to? I is equal to E by R. Mu naught IV by 2 pi log of 1 plus L by A. Keep it here now. How to get that external force? Again, I'm going to assume a small element dx. Then what is the ampere force acting on that small element? Then I'll integrate, I'll get the total ampere force acting on the rod PQ. And that much of external force that should be applied on the rod PQ, so that the speed of the rod will remain constant. All these are there in EDO. I just picked up. All these are very basic fundamental questions. Let's take the force, BIL force. DFB is equal to BI into dx. What is B? Mu naught I 2 pi x. I is a constant, no? Just leave it here. Into dx. So this will be mu naught I 2 pi dx. This I should be there. Huh? Then again it should be A to A plus L. So mu naught I 2 pi and this I log of A plus L by A. Substitute the value of I. There should be the total force acting on it. And what should be the external agent force? This external agent should apply force equal to this one. Just see once. So now where you should apply? At the midpoint. Now we'll apply force at the midpoint. Where do this ampere force lie? Will not at midpoint, no? Will be below the midpoint. You can see that field strength here as you move away from the wire, it decreases, no? So the resultant force will be acting somewhere here. So to avoid that torque thing, so I'll apply FXL somewhere here. So they may test with these also. The point of application of external force, so to avoid the rotational effect on the on the rod will be like this. It should be here. So the net torque on the rod about center of mass will be 0, and it will continue its uniform velocity motion. Otherwise, it will try to have that rotational effect. The point of application should be somewhere below the midpoint. Okay, now I am bringing the both resistor as well as capacitor. Yesterday we have discussed them individually. The rod PQ is moved by a constant force F by an action agent. Find the velocity of the rod at time t. At t equals the initial velocity of the rod is u. Carefully bring both the components. Work out, I'll give 2 minutes time. Just try to think on it. Because already you have some information about the capacitor, no? No. So directly get into the basic concept. Moving rod. Moving rod is what? Like a cell. So at t equals it is having velocity at any time t. Replace the rod with a cell, and you have one resistor, you have capacitor, and you know enough of idea of the RC circuits, charging, discharging. You learned that also. So bring all those ideas, and motional EMF. Moving rod will behave like a cell. Finish over. Nothing big is there. And the EMF of that cell depends on the speed of the rod. Since we applied a force F, so look at how the current all. So first we'll stick onto the this one. There's a loop. So we have here a resistor. There's a rod. The moving rod I'll replace with a cell. And there's a capacitor. First I have this much. This is R, this is E, and it is moved with a speed V. There's a B bar. In both the regions, the B bar is into the plane, and B is uniform. With the non-uniform, they'll mention. Uniform field. Okay, there's a rod PQ. Length of the rod PQ is, and there's no resistance. If the resistance of the rod is there, they would have mentioned. Okay, keep it this much, you know. No, how the apply the Faraday's law. In the left loop, there's a you call loop 1. There's a loop 2. In the loop 1, look at the conventions I'm putting. Flux is negative. d phi by dt. d phi 1 by dt is negative. Negative as the rod PQ moves towards right. And the rod PQ moves towards right. The flux in the first loop will increase. Negative flux in d phi by dt negative. EMF induced will be positive. Come for second loop. D bar is into the plane. It is into the plane. So therefore negative. And area of cross section of loop is decreasing. No? So d phi 2 by dt will be positive. Negative flux decreases. d phi by dt positive. E2 should be negative. So how the induced current due to individual loops, they should be in opposite direction. clockwise, anti-clockwise. So first I'll trace it out. So this will be the I1. Now what about I2? How I2 will flow? The I2 will flow in this direction. Now this will be direction of I2. Clockwise. So the resultant current here should be I1 plus I2. Okay, no. So two loops will come. So take help of this one. Now in individual loop, calculate the direction of induced current. And this rod PQ is common for both the loop. There you predict the resultant current. So the whole circuit now what happened? Let the total current be I. What is I? I is equal to I1 plus I2. Let me draw. There's the first problem. I'm just showing in detail. The coming problems directly you can take help of these conditions. The resultant total current here will be, just show only I. Easy for you in calculation. So now here BL force will act here. So BL due to what? The resultant field. The resultant field is here into the plane. No? So there is a BL force. And what is I? I is equal to I1 plus I2. And this is the key, very important part for us. I is equal to I1 plus I2. Once if you are able to write I equal to I1 plus I2, problem is solved. Now, what is the question asked? Find the velocity of the rod at any time t. For that, what is the equation? MA is equal to some external force I should apply, no? And that is what F. I think here F I'll make it. Because the question given F, no? The external force that is being applied. Directly straight away what you can write. Acceleration of the rod is equal to F minus BIL. MA equal to F minus BIL. If you can get current I, then we can solve it. Our equation will be like this. And what is further A? dV by dt. So what to do with I is what? You have to search here. So I'll take help of this equation. I is equal to, what should be the I1? Second, forget capacitor. What is I1? I1 should be E by R. Only cell and resistor R is there. Because how is this cell connected, or this resistor R connected parallel to the cell? So what is the EMF across the resistor R? Motional EMF E only. And what is the EMF? What is the potential difference across capacitor? That of the motional EMF only. So let this be plus Q minus Q at any instant of time. No, this is time t. This is t equals 0. Let this be the condition. So shall we write what is I2? Whenever capacitor comes, tell me how do we express current? Current through the capacitor.
dq by dt.
CBLA. Is it justified? Look at one. If acceleration of the rod is A, then what is the current through the rod or that capacitor? That should be equal to CBLA. Sir, why you are writing this I equal to I1 plus I2? Because this is what needed, no? So now, how do this as I2 equal to this one? So we'll proceed like this. We took blue color, no? Yeah. Q equal to C into E, CBL V. dq by dt is equal to CBL dV by dt. Work out individually if you're not confident enough. What is I1 equal to E by R? BLV by R. Substituting both, I'll write this expression. It should be like this. So therefore now, what is I is equal to now? What is I is equal to? I1 plus I2. So BLV by R plus CBLA So this I'm going to substitute here. MA equal to F, BL, I is bring acceleration term on one side, M into sorry, A into M plus C B square L square is equal to F minus B square L square V by R. Further, what is acceleration? Acceleration should be written as dV by dt. Okay, then it's the integration. Solve it. You'll get expression for speed as a function of time. Then after a long time, they'll ask you put t equal to infinity and indicate what conditions will arise. After a long time, what can happen? For that, we have to solve. You'll get expression for velocity. After a long time, what conditions? So because of acceleration, speed will continuously increase. As the speed v increases, the current I will also increase. And at one instant, BL will balance applied force F. Then acceleration will become 0. Then the charge across capacitor remains constant, but there'll be a flow of current in the circuit here. There won't be flow of current. And it will attain terminal velocity. Try to analyze. Mathematically, you take help of this one. Get expression for V as a function of time. I derive it. I ended up equation like this. FR B square L square 1 minus e to power of minus lambda t. What is lambda? Lambda is a C B square L square by this is a lambda. So this is the expression. Put t equal to infinity. So finally what will happen? The rod will move with a constant. Rod will not come to rest. Then what is the steady state charge across capacitor, they ask you. At t equal to infinity, what is the charge stored in the capacitor? Can we analyze at t equal to infinity, the circuit? The total circuit will be, I'll just come to the at t equal to infinity. It will move with a constant speed v and call the terminal velocity, and there'll be a charge across capacitor will be constant, call q infinity. How to calculate the terminal velocity? Vt equal to Fr by B square L square only. Check the expressions. Oh, initial velocity is u is there. Oh, I didn't consider that one. No? Initial velocity of the rod is given. I think I'll remove it because a lot of calculations will come. I'll remove that part. It doesn't make any difference. So I'll put it at t equals 0. The rod is at test. I'll write it. We'll do one thing. We'll make 0. If initial velocity there, nothing will happen. The equations become very lengthy. Let me, I think, yeah. Okay, this will be, so how to calculate this Q infinity? Q infinity should be equal to C into E infinity. What is E infinity? B VT L. And what is VT? This one. Substitute this. CB VT is FR by B square L square into L. Q infinity is equal to C FR by BL. So this is the charge stored after long time. Now, if the one's charge is constant, current will be zero, no? I2 will be zero because I2 is what? When as long as charge flowing through capacitor is varying, the current I2 will flow. Try to see overall both resistor, capacitor. Again, you try to go back to the basics. What is the basics means? I'm moving the rod by a constant force F. Then what all cases are there? If you just give velocity V to the rod PQ and release, what will happen? If you move with a constant acceleration, what conditions will come? If you move with a constant speed, what will come? If you move with a constant speed, no current will flow through capacitor. Am I right? Because when the current through capacitor will be non-zero, when the rod accelerates. What about the across resistor? If the rod is moving with a velocity, if the rod is PQ is having velocity, there will be current through the resistor. Current through the capacitor will be non-zero only when the rod PQ accelerates, because there's a relationship is there. No? You look at this. So it's to trouble you, objective question. The rod PQ is moved with a constant speed. Then what is the charge in capacitor? Yes, you can find out charge, but what is the current through capacitor will be zero. That's what we have here. No current through this, but there'll be a flow of current. There'll be a flow of current here. A current I1 will be flowing through this. BI1L is what force I should apply. Check it. These are some objective questions. Are there in book? Okay, we'll take the next one. No, this will be much easier because already you have two loop. Just now we discussed. No, I think you can easily manage. Read the question. The rod is moved with a constant acceleration. B is into the plane. So I'll give overall circuit. Circuit appears like this. And there's a rod PQ. B bar into the plane, here B bar into the plane. And this is moved with a constant acceleration E. Just now we have discussed, no, the current, how the current here will be I1. This will be I2, the resultant current, this will be I. And this moving rod, we can replace with a cell. The rod is moved with a constant acceleration. He's asking expression for current I. And there's a resistance of the rod also. So that I'll bring it here. The rod PQ is also having resistance. So what is the equivalent circuit? You can see no. So first, what is EMF? BLV. Then what is the velocity of the rod at any time? AT. The EMF. Then what is I is equal to? I should be equal to E by R plus R1 R2 by R1 plus R2. Suddenly why this equations of this kind? How R1 R2 will be? Parallel, no? That effect will become in series with this cell. you know enough of current density circuits. The moving rod will behave like a cell. If the rod is having any resistance, bring that in series with that cell. Finish all. Let whatever the numerical know. It's a just current density problem, series, parallel, or any other conditions may come. Apply current density ideas. What is the Faraday's law? The moving rod, there'll be mostly EMF will be induced across the rod. The rest all everything is again you have to come to either the laws of like a magnetism or current density ideas. Now what is E further? This will be BL ET R plus R1 R2 by R1 plus R2. They'll ask you calculate the force. What about the external force that I should apply? F external minus BIL equal to ME. What is I? I is what you have to replace everything here. So B square L square AT by so look at the force what I should apply, constant or time varying. A time varying force we should apply it. So I suggest to students every problem please do analyze. In every problem you are supposed to analyze. B square. In every problem, if it is moved with a constant speed, if it is moved with a constant acceleration, if it is given velocity, so all four cases is what you should analyze for each and every question. And also what happened to energy conversion. So the force acting should be a function of time, not constant force, should be a variable force. So what is a like an average force acted in an interval of time? Then what is work done by the force? They'll ask you. What about work done? How to calculate? Because force as a function of time, we don't have any formula to calculate the work done. No? What is the best thing? Look at acceleration, constant or variable. Acceleration is a constant or variable. It's a variable, no? Or acceleration is a constant. And at any instant of time t, you can calculate the velocity. Then change in kinetic energy of the rod is what work done. They may ask you the work done here. So for work done, what you should do? Take help of the change in kinetic energy of the system, or the change in kinetic energy of the rod plus also heat generated. Yeah, see, yesterday I discussed, no, BIL force is something very important. What happened, the work done by BIL? The BIL force converts mechanical work into electrical energy. And that electrical energy will be converted into heat by the resistors. The role of BIL is different in different situations. If a resistor is there, it will convert mechanical power into electrical power. If capacitor is there, it will convert mechanical power into electrostatic power. It all depends upon the system. The BIL is having a major role here. BIL is what doing work. BIL is an agent which will convert energy from one form to another form here. Like a block, you give velocity and keep it on a rough surface. So after some time you come to rest now. Tell me like where that kinetic energy gone? Work done by friction. Tell me what friction did with that work? Friction is having any pockets, it will store nothing, no? So what happened, the work done by friction? Heat generated at the surface, at the contacts, heat generated on this ground and also to the block. So friction is what is doing now. It's converting mechanical energy into thermal energy. There is a role of friction. Getting so analyze energy aspect, it's very important because just don't end up with mathematical equation solving. The energy aspect in every problem you're supposed to analyze. So what is the role of friction here? It converts mechanical energy into thermal energy. And there'll be heat generated at the bottom of this block and also on the ground. Major will be taken by the block. it all depends upon again the type of surfaces here. The same thing role here. It's not a dissipative force, it's a conservative force. It just is involved in conversion of energy from one form to another form. Come for this some problems. Time varying magnetic field, I just picked up one problem. Later on, induced electric field, tomorrow when we discuss now, induced electric field will go in detail. This is about just one small information. So magnetic field is everywhere into the plane, and I'll take a wire, I'll twist it. Able to understand this? The diagram is in fact is like this. What we do is this, if I twist it, no, if I rotate this loop, if I twist it, I'll get this one. So in any unable to understand something, you purchase, you go for any hardware shop, ask them iron wire. For in building materials, we use that one. Iron, thin gauge iron wire, you call it. You purchase it, it'll be around 200 rupees. You'll get some almost uh, 10 feet. So take a piece of wire and construct a frame like this. You hold the right hand one, this one, and rotate it to 180 degree. The circuit will be like this. Or a jump. What is this here? It's a jump, that one. So first they'll give diagram like this in matchings. So this is twisted. This is rotated by 180 degree. It will appear like this. No. Okay. Let's come for flux negative. B bar into the plane, flux negative, negative flux increase the d phi by dt will be negative, EMF induced positive. So how the induced current in both the loops should flow anti-clockwise. The induced current in both the loops should be anti-clockwise. Then, now what is resistance per unit length is telling lambda. So first we'll calculate the flux. So shall I replace here? There'll be a cell, and here also one cell which will push that particular current. So what is I1 is equal to E1 into resistance. Resistance will be lambda 4A. What is I2 equal to? E2 into lambda into 4B. What is E1? So some correction is there. I'll make it. This is A. The side length of the loops are A given. So 4 lambda A. This will be E2 equal 4 lambda B. What is next? E1? E1 should be equal to A square dB bar by dt. And what should be this? Should be equal to B square dB by dt. Faraday's law, area of cross section of loop is constant, but B bar linking the loop is varying. So dB bar by dt. So this should be equal to B naught. So A square B naught 4 lambda I. B square B naught 4 lambda B. So what is the I1? I1 will be B naught A by 4 lambda. They are very popular in advanced exam. Check once. So which current will be greater? A is greater than B naught. So therefore I1 should be greater than I2. Then how to get the resultant current? I did like this. You can also go for resultant circuit here. So this should be the E1. This should be the E1. And it will encounter, the current will encounter resistance how much? 4 lambda A. Tell me, like, I did some mathematics. Is it correct? Should we think like this individually on each loop? Or I do one circuit here now. What is the EMF induced? I1 will flow anti-clockwise. So therefore, a cell will be responsible and EMF will be responsible for flow of current. That EMF is what I'm showing E1. And since E1 greater than E2, so therefore the resultant current will be determined by E1. Why this polarity for E2 should be like this? Anti-clockwise, no? But you see the current I2, this current I2 will oppose I1. Look at the things. The current I2 in the loop is such that it will try to oppose I1. So therefore, we have to show the polarity like this here. So is it fine, justified, solving like this, and I1 minus I2 shall I take, or shall I do by this method? Let me solve by circuit method. We'll see what will get answered. Then we'll verify it. So what is I is equal to? E1 minus E2, 4 lambda A plus 4 lambda B. What is E1? E1 alone we know. It should be A square B naught. B square B naught. 4 lambda A plus B. So this should be equal to B naught A square minus B square by 4 lambda A plus B. B naught A minus B 4 lambda. You take definitely I1 greater than I2. You take the difference of that. B naught A minus B by 4 lambda. I suggest this is, if I go for more than 2 loops, no, then definitely somewhere will be going wrong. So this, in some books they're given, better to avoid thinking like this, because more than 2 loops, definitely this will be in a big trouble. We can't generalize it. So just, or at least you can tell E1. What is E1? E1 should be A square dB by dt. What is E2? A square B square So it's better to draw a circuit and analyze it than rather than doing mathematically. Okay, follow this point, because if I bring one more loop, no, so it's better to go for circuit method. So like this, we do have problems where more than 2 loops are there. So this is what the books, they suggested. Some books, what earlier I did, they went like this. So that is not advisable. Applicable, it is applicable only in few cases. So this is a generalized method is what I'm proposing. The direction of I2 here, you can see from the diagram, the direction of I2 is such that it will oppose I1, no? Look at this. Okay. If B bar here out of the plane in the second loop, then I2 will flow in clockwise. Then I2 will support I1. Then you have to reverse the polarity here. Just do make observations. Now some moving structures nearby. I think just now earlier problem what we discussed, a conducting rod of length L moves with velocity V, a direction parallel to long wire. Find the EMF induced in the rod. So there's a long wire. There's a long wire. A current I is flowing, and there's a rod. Will there be any EMF induced in the rod? That was the loop, no? So you'll be getting confusion. So I just took that one. So what we should do? We'll assume a small element of length dx at a distance x. EMF induced in this, let it be dE. So BV into dx. So this should be mu naught I 2 pi x V dx. So this should be R2 R plus L. Now, can you replace this with any cell? It's equivalent to one cell. So B bar will be into the plane. Of course, non-uniform, but it's into the plane and then the velocity. So which end of the rod? So this is equivalent to like a rod or a cell. What is the EMF of this? So this end will be positive, this will be negative. And now nearby this same long wire, let me conclude here only, it'll be easy for you. I'll move a loop. Okay, carefully think and analyze. What should be EMF induced in the loop? 1, 2, 3, 4. Square frame, let it be. Nearby this long wire, current carrying wire, I'll move in now a square loop. Square frame or loop. Side length of the loop, let it be L. 1, 2, 3, 4 is a square frame. I'll move with a constant speed. So then what is the EMF induced in this? What is the EMF induced in the rod 1, 2? Rod 1, 2 and 3, 4 will be 0. Any reason? Because the velocity is directed along the length of the rod. And what about EMF induced in 1, 4 and 2, 3? Mu naught IV 2 pi log of A plus L by A. Same formula. Please try to apply. R plus L by R, no? So what is this everything? This will be equivalent to a cell like this. So almost what you are learning now, you can apply for situation like this. So this is the, you can replace with a cell. And let this be equal to, say, E. What is the net EMF induced? Will be 0, no? So therefore, what is the EMF in the loop? E14, E23. So any current will flow? No current will flow. But sir, it is moving in a magnetic field. Flux linking 0, no? Also like a rate of change of flux 0. Flux linking the loop remains constant. In any position, what is the flux linking the loop? Now you know how to calculate flux. So what happened to flux linking the loop is constant. Then d phi by dt, 0. No EMF induced. Or in terms of rod, you can think like this. In terms of rod, you can think it. Any shape, square frame or any arbitrary shape, as any arbitrary shape nearby long wire, any arbitrary shape, if I move like this, so what is the EMF induced in a loop? Will be 0. The very important thing, so you do get many problems. But again, again here some conditions are there. Just be careful. Some conditions will come with this. So here what will happen if I connect a capacitor? So what happens to charge in capacitor? 0 or non-zero? Will be non-zero, no? Because some potential difference is applied across the capacitor. So Q equal to C, they'll ask you. So some capacitor will be connected between parallel to the cell. So what is the charge in capacitor? C into E. EMF induced across each cell will be the potential drop across capacitor. So some questions to trouble you can be asked. Okay, I'll start the I'll come to later on this thing. So let's do the rotational EMF. Let me introduce today rotational EMF. So tomorrow we can discuss numericals on this. So what I do, I'll rotate a rod in a uniform magnetic field. B bar everywhere is into the plane, and this is a rod where the rod is, it is hinged about 0.2. Let L be the length of the rod. It's a conducting rod. Call iron. So what is the EMF generated across the rod? Why that EMF generated? Again, you take help of positive charge. This positive charge, in what direction it will have a speed, tangential speed. V equal to say R. Let it be at a distance R, let there be a hypothetical positive charge. It will have a tangential speed, and how much it is equal to tangential speed? V equal to R omega. No, because of that, you assume now. Will there be any like a force due to Lorentz force, or the field will exert any, magnetic field will exert any force on this charge particle? B bar velocity, so magnetic force will act in this direction. This magnetic force, what it will do? It will drift the charges. It will drift the charges. So this will make positive. This end will become positive. The deficient here, the electrons will get deposited here. The deficiency of electrons here is a positive charge practically. Then meanwhile, what will happen? As the deposition of charges occur, an electrostatic field is established. Like already we discussed in motional EMF, no, similar to that. And the rod is rotating about this end. Now further charge, what all happens here? It will experience an electrostatic force, and here magnetic force, and an equilibrium is established. Initially what happened? The Lorentz force here, or the magnetic force, will be greater, will be sufficient so that it will push the charge towards the right end or the free end. So a deposition of positive charge occurs here. Had the amount of charge builds up here, and a charge layer is set up at the ends, and this will produce an electrostatic field. Now the charge which is trying to drift will experience a force due to magnetic field, and also will experience force due to electrostatic field when these two forces are equal. When these two forces are equal. So what will happen to the charge? No more further drifting of charge will occur. And the charge built up on the ends, amount of charge built up, will remain constant. So then a constant potential difference is set up here. Then at equilibrium, Fe equal to Fb. So this Fe should be equal to Qe. This should equal to QVB. Q get cancelled. So E equal to, what is V? V is R omega into B. What is E is equal to dE by dR. Equal to B omega R dR. So R I'll measure from here. This is R equals 0. Let this be L. So 0 to E, 0 to L. So what is EMF induced? B omega L square by 2. So the rotating rod also will behave like a cell. And if you connect any resistor across it, an EMF will be generated. So why this is preferred? In applications, we don't do motional EMF. I'm making clear motional EMF is hypothetical. Just to understand all Faraday's law. Applications all are based on rotational EMF. And we don't discuss much numericals. What all we discussed till now, motional EMF, no, translational motion EMF, it's a hypothetical. We use in any application. to be frank. 99.99% of applications are based on rotational EMF. And in books, very less numericals are there on this one. But we can manage because the torque ideas will come. No? That's why they didn't focus much. If you are very good in that rotation mechanics ideas, torque equal to I alpha, you can manage this also. Any problem, let them ask, you can manage. Now, what I should do? They're motional EMF, no? Here, rotational EMF. It depends on angular velocity, magnetic field, and the length of the rod. Suppose I want EMF of 10 volt. Yes, can go for it, no? Usually, what is the length? Length, we don't go for several kilometers. Usually in applications, what happens if you go for the idle project? What is the length? Length will be of around 5 meter, 10 meter, or 20 meter. I should not go for length very large because the equipment will become very large. The rod is a now generator. This rotating rod is a part of generator. The size of generator should be less. So therefore, the L should not be extend to several hundred meters. Few 10 meters, okay. Omega, there's upper limit. What is the maximum value of omega which we can put it? I think 300 RPM, 500. You look at the fans like that in machines. What happen? Some 800 RPM, 1000 RPM is what upper limit for generators and field strength. So field strength, yes, I can bring a very powerful magnets. I can increase the B. So like that, what happen? An appreciable value of E will be generated. This is what we use in application. And now, if I rotate the rod instead of this at the midpoint, exactly the axis is, so I'll here about midpoint I'll rotate. And how is the magnetic field? Magnetic field is directed in this way. Uniform magnetic field directed in this way. So let the length of the rod be L2. So this is the point O, P, and let this be Q. What should be the limit you are going to write? Take like this, no? B omega R dr 0 to L by 2. So then there's the EMF induced in the rod OP. So what is EOP equal to? B omega R square by 2, 0 to L by 2. B omega L square by 8. I think for EOQ also the same thing, magnitude. Both the lengths are L by 2, no? Then what to do this? If you are trying to replace this end will be, which end will be positive? Again, take positive charge inside that and B bar. Sorry, this is the B bar. Huh? Just wait. Some correction later we'll discuss B bar of different direction. Here it is like this. Huh? Omega B bar is into the plane. Huh? Horizontal axis, not vertical axis. The rod is rotating about horizontal axis, passing through O. Omega, look at omega, or about Z axis here. No. So we are going to replace this B bar velocity. So this end will be positive, no? This is OQ, this is P.
Sir, what is the axis of rotation?
Horizontal axis, horizontal axis. Look at what is the net EMF induced. 0, no? Across the rod PQ. You write KVL. So EPQ will be 0. There will be EMF induced in each part. The net EMF induced across the rod means PQ. Should be 0, that one. So which end will be positive? So here this will be positive, negative, This should be negative. You should give polarity like this. How to predict the polarity? You assume a positive charge, B bar. Look at the tangential velocity of that positive charge. Left-hand rule, Fleming's left-hand rule. B bar, tangential velocity vertically up. The pointing finger into the plane of the diagram. Tangential velocity vertically up. Thumb will point towards O. And for this part of the rod, B bar into the plane, tangential velocity will be downward. And the thumb will point towards right, towards O. Okay, the prediction of the polarity of the ends is very important. Or put limits directly from minus L/2 to plus L/2. You'll get the EMF induced across the rod PQ, and there'll be 0. So numericals, we need to think that one. Each part of the rod will behave like a one cell. Each rotating part of a rod will behave like a cell. Workout, because in numericals we have to think mathematically. Okay, minus L/2 to plus L/2, we write it. But numericals, we should break up each rod. The rod has into 2 parts, and in each rod there will be EMF induced. The net EMF will be 0. Now instead of mounting the rod, let me mount the rod at 1/4 of the end. Now B bar, let me take out of the plane. Everywhere B bar is out of the plane. This L/4 will behave like a cell. So the limit, so this you call OA B. So EOA B omega RDR 0 to L/4. Which end will be positive? B bar out of the plane. So this end will be positive, negative, negative. This will be positive. So substitute limits. So B omega L/4. So this will be B omega by 2 L square by 16. B omega L square by 32. Similarly, EOB (0 to 3L/4). B omega by 2. So 3L R square. So 9L square by 16. So 9B omega L square by 32. So what is the effective EMF induced? B will be at higher potential. So we know this EBA should be called the difference of that. B omega L square by 4. I can make the axis to pass through any point. The axis can be anywhere here. So, but make a practice of breaking up the rod. And that's what, because we have numericals. Okay, fine. So now this is about the rod. I'll rotate the disc. The idea will be same even for the disc. A conducting disc, iron disc of radius C, and there will be a magnetic field. So they iron disc. What about the potential difference across the circumference?
In before sum, how are you able to write the polarity, sir?
Polarity, assume positive charge inside it, inside the rod, positive charge, and it will have tangential velocity. And the positive charge in what direction it will drift. You assume a positive charge here. B bar out of the plane, tangential velocity V upward, thumb, the thumb will point towards B, no? So it will shift like this. And any positive charge here will experience a force like this. Magnetic force. There's only best alternative method, or most easiest, which will not take much time. Your left hand arm, what when the joint pain should come. If there is no pain, then you have not learnt EMI or Ampere's force or Lorentz force. Assume positive charge inside the conducting rotating rod. In what direction the positive charge will drift, that end will be positive due to magnetic force. Now, iron disc I'm rotating. I want the potential difference. What is the radius of the disc? Let it be A. It is rotating about horizontal axis, passing through center of the disc. I'll directly write EOA. Now again, come for this one. B bar into the plane. Let me put clockwise. Now what should be EOA? EOA should be equal to B omega A square by 2. I'll write it. So what is this iron disc? Shall I assume it made up of rods? Then what is the EMF induced across one rod? That will be same across all the rods. Treat this iron disc made up of such rods. Such rods, if I add up, sum up, what do I get? I'll get a disc, no? So what is the EMF induced across each rod? EMF induced across the rod. B omega A square by 2. EOP, yeah? Somebody is asking that. Yeah. P is a point on circumference. What is the potential difference between center of the disk and circumference? Mains or advanced troublesome questions. The idea of the rod only, you should extend here. Okay, no, tomorrow we'll continue from here. This one. Okay, thank you all of you.